Welcome to the Business of Travel, the official podcast of the Global Business Travel Association. I'm Nikki Stimpson, Head of PR and Communications for GBTA EMEA, and I'll be your host for today's episode. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Clive Cornelius, Head of Travel Segment at Visa Business Solutions Europe, and Peter van Spaandonk, Head of Sales for Europe at Yokoy. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki.
Today, we are going to be discussing one of the hot topics in our industry, managing business travel expenses. With the current economic uncertainty, what are the latest trends in expense management and how can technology play a part? So let's get started. Peter, can you start by telling me why do we have Visa and Yokoy together here today?
Yes, of course, Nikki, and thanks again for having both of us. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to speak
How
to
do I
you.
explain this? Yeah. I think the best way to explain it is despite having very different histories and trajectories, the visions of our company really align. So we know that Visa original vision was for money and transactions to become fully electronic. And Clive, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but we did our homework on this. And Yokoy, in our turn, our goal is to transform the way that corporate spend is managed. So we're building a future where companies manage their money safe, compliant, and efficient with as little human intervention as possible by using artificial intelligence. So basically what we're doing, we're equipping finance teams with state-of-the-art technology that they really need for a future-proof operation. And I think we can really safely say that both companies we're bold, we're innovative, and we're really focused on redefining the future of finance.
Clive, is there anything you'd like to add?
I mean, Peter's covered it really well. We absolutely share the ambition of driving innovation, helping businesses pay, especially when traveling. And with our extensive payments network and industry expertise, Yokoy has been able to significantly expand their reach with the globally accepted Visa business cards. So looking forward to the conversation today.
Great, thank you. And so Clive, can you give us some insights into the current market landscape of business travel? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we've seen a significant bounce back in the travel market. Businesses want to return to business travel. They see the value that brings, so they want their employees out there. Now, for the corporates, because obviously we cover large corporations and small business, the corporates have taken a longer time to return to travel, likely due to their size and their processes and the more international nature of their travel. But regardless, we've seen 180% growth in corporate travel transactions compared to 2021. And, in your own press, we've seen a number of travel management companies stating they're actually back above those pre-COVID levels. And our own data says exactly the same, that it is around that level. Now, that is even when you take into consideration the economic uncertainty that we're currently seeing, with inflation at high levels in a number of markets, fuel price increases, and swings in FX. So businesses have had to increasingly put pressure on themselves and their solution providers to help cut costs. And of course, throw into the mix the increased focus on sustainability. The effects of climate change are becoming a lot clearer. People are looking at carbon budgets. They're looking at doing longer trips, trying to fit more into a single trip to avoid excessive flights. And businesses are actually looking at what they're doing and choosing greener options. And it's the same from the companies as it is from the travelers. So travelers want to be as green as they possibly can. And therefore, you're seeing more of that blended travel where they actually tack on some of their own personal trips on the end of a business trip. And I think, your own numbers showed that this was going to grow, by 500 million in spend in that space in the next 10 years.
Thanks, guys. That's great to hear. So, Peter, are there any standout trends developing in the market today that are likely to carry on in the future?
Yeah, I think it's very much in light of what Clive just mentioned. It's really interesting to see that what we see first and foremost is that we're really moving from digitization, which was the big thing over the past decade or so, to really automation in business travel. And really with the usage of the aforementioned artificial intelligence in these processes, it's been a sensitive topic for a while, especially for the more risk-averse finance professional, but it's really widely being embraced now. And that in combination with the new payment products, as Clive already mentioned, the virtual cards, really hyper automation of financial processes is now the next big thing. And that's really, really here to stay. At the same time, and it's mentioned before as well, due to the macroeconomic uncertainty, there's a real pressure to cut costs. And companies are stricter with internal policies. They're looking to running their operations more sustainable, efficient. So we see, how do you say it, a renewed focus on sustainability and really on identifying the main areas of revenue leakage. Where can we cut costs? So being it inefficiencies, human errors, but also fraud is really a big one there, also a sensitive topic, of course. And thirdly, the increased focus, and I think Clive put it there already perfectly, the increased focus of making corporate travel as seamless and similar to leisure travel as possible. And to Clive's point, some organizations, they offer it as a perk, and some even mix it with leisure. Pleasure, and I honestly admit that was a term I didn't know until recently, but it's a real growing trend now, especially since work-life boundaries are really blurring. Yeah, and with that, I think what we really see is that the use of user-friendly, flexible technology where you can combine business travel with leisure travel with a few clicks of a button, that is really facilitating this hybrid form of traveling. And especially on this point, you really still see a big gap between the legacy travel and expense technology, very, I can say outdated, clunky, really the Windows 95 look and feel, and the newer technology, SaaS, mostly software as a service, built for the end user and offering a seamless experience. Yeah, and last but not least, in addition to this improved user experience, of course, this is also a more environmental friendly solution, more sustainable, and it enhances the operational efficiency.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Clive, how do you see these trends being addressed? From your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably more than one, but I mean, to pick on a couple, I think sustainability, digitization. We've talked for some time about virtual cards being a digital solution to those that don't have a physical card. If you think about it from a sustainability angle, is that they reduce the reliance on plastic cards for payment and actually have much better reconciliation capabilities, and they are a digital product. The benefits of card linked to fraud. You've got smarter card, businesses able to provide a more holistic view of all their spend and actually make it easier for them to identify unnecessary and unauthorized purchases. And that in turn lowers the risk of card misuse and make sure that fraud is actually handled in the right way and managed out of travel spend. And Peter touched on the kind of employee user demands. The fact of it is that everyone has got used to a certain way of working as a consumer, and the employees of companies expect exactly the same fast and modern solutions in their working life. So getting things done in 3 to 4 clicks, and they've just become accustomed to that, and they expect it in everything they do, whether it's personal or business.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Clive. So Peter, now let's talk about your typical clients. What do you think are keeping your clients, your business executives up at night? What are the biggest challenges that they're facing?
Biggest challenge, wow, that's a big question also. Well, to scope it on the topic for today, I think the control of spend is really one of the main topics right now, mainly because of the aforementioned economic environment and the pressure to really cut costs. And to get there, it's a prerequisite to have full visibility on the spend management process, all happening in one place, which is really often it's lacking within organizations. And Clive already mentioned more the corporate organization picking up on business travel a little later, but these are also mostly the organizations that are working with legacy tools, outdated processes, really fragmented, decentralized technological landscapes. And it hinders really the ability to control spend because the big picture view, the bird's eye view is missing, and there's no overview and no transparency in the processes. That together with inefficiencies in those same processes that really results in the inability to really realize significant cost cutting. And lastly, and you heard me say this before, and Clive as well, is really the bad user experiences. So what you see now is that corporate enterprises begin to realize that they have to meet the seamless technology-driven processes of startup and scale-ups. Because these companies, they're really challenging the status quo, and simply because new generations that are now entering the labor market, they expect this. They expect a seamless experience when it comes to travel and expense. Their Uber, when they order it, is there in 7 minutes and they see exactly where it is. So why should they have to wait for a travel expense being reimbursed 2 months later? It's just, it doesn't click in their head. They will ask you, they will demand, like, just give me a virtual one-time corporate card, as Clive just mentioned. And that realization that it's becoming mission critical, not only to cut costs, but also really to attract the right talent, it's really sinking in now. And I think attracting the right talent is even more important when we talk about being future-proof and the future of finance.
Absolutely. So we talked a lot about controlling spend then. And what are Visa and Yokoy doing to address some of the challenges that you just mentioned?
I mean, from a Visa perspective, we are continually looking at enhancing our offering in the business travel space. Making the use of the latest technology. We want to make sure that all of our clients have access to the best-in-class solutions, and a lot of it, when it comes to card, is around the data and control. So being able to ensure that all of their spend is automatically fed into the expense system or the ERP system that they use, that there is a consistent way of capturing that data, and that it's done in a controlled way, whether that's a virtual card or a physical smart card, is making sure that they've got the right controls up front as well as in the expense downstream, to ensure that the client's mind is put at ease, knowing that they've got a solution that actually meets their needs, and they don't then need to look for alternative payments. We're here to do that for them, making sure that all of the options available to them are ready and at hand from the services that we're able to put out into the market.
Yeah, very much aligned with Clive here. The only thing I would add, I think Clive explained perfectly the landscape and how the integration, how important that is, that everything flows from one system to another seamlessly. I think what I would like to add is the layer of artificial intelligence that we're embedding into this, really to take over this traditional manual controlling task. And I think as partners, Visa and Yokoy, we can really say that we act on the forefront of this innovation that is happening in the travel and expense space right now. And at this time, I use my Yokoy Visa card on my watch to pay at the point of sale. And this is fancy and it's new, and my girlfriend always calls me like, "Hey, James Bond, show off," when I pay with my watch. But I am 100% sure that in a few years from now, we don't even need a device anymore. We pay with a fingerprint, or we pay with this sounds scary, but an injected chip. I'm sure this will happen, and I'm equally sure that, again, Yokoy and Visa, we will be the first movers here again, really disrupting the space.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Clive. So thank you so much to Clive and Peter today for your insights. It's been great talking to you. You've been listening to The Business of Travel, the official podcast of the Global Business Travel Association. For more information about GBTA and its work, visit gbta.org and be sure to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, thanks so much for listening.